Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. I have a very special guest this week on the week 6 cage match on DraftKings, the head-to-head battle. I wanted this gentleman to be week 1 to kick it off because this is our charity game, right? This is the game that I do every week for charity. 100% of the ad revenue on this video for the entire season is going to be donated to No Kid Hungry, the charity that I've been playing for, the charity that I represent all season long. So whether or not I win or lose, No Kid Hungry is going to win at the end of the year. And if I was going to kick off a charity game, I wanted to bring on one of the faces of fantasy football charity Twitter, if that is indeed a thing. And that man is Scott Fish, as you see right here on the thumbnail for the video. Runs Fantasy Cares, runs the Scott Fish Bowl. We're in the 10th year of that. I am a participant. This is my second time drafting an SFB team. For those of you who are wondering how this video works, this is a head-to-head game on DraftKings. In a lot of head-to-head games on DraftKings, you realize that you can have overlap with the players that you're playing against. If there's a guy who's a very, glaring value, it's very likely that both of you are going to have them. There's 9 roster slots on DraftKings, and most days you're going to find that you're not going to have a 9v9. There's going to be 3, 4, sometimes as many as 5, 6, or 7 spots in your lineup that are exactly the same as the player that you're playing against. We're not going to do that. We're going to draft teams, snake format, on DraftKings using their salaries. We have to stay under the salary cap, but there is absolutely no possibility of overlap in this game. If you get sniped, you're just screwed. That's the way that it goes, and we're going to be playing for charity. It's always up to my guests which charity they want to play for. It's always up to my guests whether or not they want to pick first or second and 2. It's always up to the guests how much we're playing for. Scott has chosen to play for $100 today. We'll get into the charities in just a bit. I want to bring in Scott to say hello. So Scott, how are you doing today, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on here, man. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm a little worried since this isn't exactly my format, but I'm excited, and I hope fantasy charity Twitter is becoming a thing.
Right?
I'd very much like that if it was.
I mean, I've tried to bring some awareness to a few different charities. We've done charity drives for Feeding America on this channel. We've done charity drives for No Kid Hungry previously on this channel, and for Charity Water and God, I wish I could remember the name of the other one, Life Water or something along those lines. And obviously Drew Dinkmeyer doing a great job with his Welly Maker every year. You with Fantasy Cares. Why don't you tell everybody here on YouTube a little bit about yourself, a little bit about the charities, where they can find you and your work, and give us a little bit of a history on the Scott Fish Bowl.
Sure. You can find me on Twitter at ScottFish24. My main real life job is running a commissioner service called Safe Leagues. We run, best ball leagues and redraft leagues, and mostly dynasty leagues, some keeper leagues, stuff like that, some unique type leagues. So we don't have anything filling at this time of year, but in the off season, we have a lot of awesome stuff. I also run the Scott Fish Bowl, which is this giant charity based event with basically every analyst in the industry and a bunch of fans get to play along. It's a lot of fun. It really started as a listener league, and about the same time I had my heart attack, I decided to add a charitable element to everything I was doing. And since then, Fishbowl has just grown and grown and grown. And it's a beautiful thing, not only just to see Fishbowl do that, but I've been going on radio and going on TV or radio and a podcast for years saying, add a charitable element to your league, even if it's one entry fee or whatever. And it feels like finally over the last year or two that has taken off. And I hope that's when people think of me and look at my work, I hope that's what they take away from it. It's
a great takeaway to have. I mean, look, every year you have a different theme. Last year was video games. Yes. And this year is cartoons. And as soon as I saw that Voltron was a league, I was like, I need to be in Voltron.
Yes.
Get the Voltron. Yes. The 5 lion Voltron too, not the 50 little ship anime Voltron. I want lion Voltron.
Nice.
So
very
there
nice.
I am in the Scott Fish Bowl this year. We're doing all right. We'll see if we can turn
you have
it
a
up.
good team.
I think I've got a pretty good team. But we'll see how it goes. I'm going to need a little bit of help at quarterback as we go down the season. But I'm sitting at 4-1, but so is literally everyone else in my league, apparently.
Jesus. Wow.
Yeah. So it's going to be tough as we get down the wire, because we got some really good, interested, involved members in this league with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams at 4-1 in Voltron.
That's amazing. That's virtually unheard of. That's
really?
Yeah, I think that's the only league like that, I bet.
I mean, Eric Balkman with 967 points. He's got a monster of a team. So we'll see if we can catch him, but I'd like to see if I can make the playoff round. We'll see. We'll see if it works out. We are playing for charities, as we said, and you mentioned that you had a heart attack a few years ago. And so
Yep.
Scott will be playing for the American Heart Association. I will have a link right down below. If you click show more on the description, you can have a link if you want to participate and donate to either one of the charities that we're playing for. So the American Heart Association, who Scott is playing for today, I am playing for No Kid Hungry, as always, trying to help kids through school closures all year long, kids that are food insecure, to try and help get them the meals that they need, so that no kid should go through life not knowing where the next meal is coming from. So it's charity that's near and dear to my heart, especially considering, you know, some family members of mine, in-laws, that have gone through that when they were younger. So this is something that I try to support. If you want to support either one or both of those charities, there is a link down below. Click show more on the description. You have chosen 2nd and 2. You've left me with the number 1 pick overall in this head-to-head battle. And I think that there's one player that I want to go grab, that I think is the best play on the slate. I think he has the highest floor. I think he has as high a ceiling as anybody else, and I think he's underpriced. I also think there's danger in this pick, and it could cost me by Sunday if something happens. But that pick is going to be one Mike Davis, who has been an absolute stud in the stead of Christian McCaffrey since he went down. CMC light, 95% CMC. However you want to phrase it, it does not matter, because he's going to get 6, 7, 10 targets a game with a ridiculously high floor because of his usage there, plus mid-teens carries and the work inside the 5-yard line. He caught a touchdown 2 of the 3 weeks since he's been the starter. He's scored a touchdown all 3 weeks since he's been the starter. He could get me 20 to 22 points on volume alone here. I'm going to risk that CMC is not going to play this week. If CMC comes back and takes 90% of the snaps, this is a complete waste pick, and I'm just screwed.
I don't think he does right before the bye.
That's kind of, well, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm going to go with Mike Davis with this pick, and I'm going to let the rest sort it out. There's a lot of running backs. I just want to lock him in. I'm happy with the price. If it bites me, it bites me.
I like that call. I like that a lot. He's one of the more top end running backs I was looking at here that looks pretty enticing.
So now you for 2. Over to you for 2.
Yeah. I hope the chat doesn't make fun of me too much for this, but I think I'm going to start out with a little stacking that
all right,
here. I see a game with a 55.5 over under against a team that has allowed 7 different wide receivers over 90 yards, has allowed, I believe, 9 wide receiver touchdowns. And I'm going to go for the cheaper of the pair.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson. I'm going to pair him up with Kirk Cousins.
All right. That's a strong start. It allows me to not have to pick a quarterback until like my last pick. So I like that personally for me. Atlanta's been a team we've targeted all season long. They're not good at the tackling, you know, at the stopping you from completing passes or the tackling afterwards.
And they're missing five players in their secondary right now.
Yeah. I like Jefferson's talent. Unfortunately, again, I told you, chat, you didn't see that I dropped him in SFB, so don't even worry about that because you didn't see it, so it didn't happen. But I totally dropped him because I needed a running back. But I did get Mike Davis for him, so cut me a little bit of slack. That was a necessary move as I had CMC on that team. So if he gets 6, 7 targets against Atlanta, he could absolutely smash this slate. We'll see how that goes and how that pans out. I've got one pick here. We're 1-1-1 the rest of the way. I'm going to go with another running back. And it's a little strange to me to pick this guy. It is. It just is. I could do all right. I could I could wait on this guy because I think there's other guys. And again, I've said that it's not about being efficient in the cage match. It's about inflicting pain. I'm going to pick Madison and go against your Kirk Cousins stack.
You're right. You probably could have saved him, but after taking those two, I wasn't going to take Madison.
Nope, you weren't. So,
yeah.
But I want to inflict as much pain as possible here, because even if you take the running back I'm looking at, I think that there's a couple in his price range that if you take the one guy I'm looking at, I could pivot to somebody else pretty easily. So for the memes and for the pain infliction, if Cousins throws 4 touchdowns and they're not to Madison, I'm screwed. But if every rushing touchdown that Madison scores, or every defensive touchdown that Madison scores, is massive leverage against your Cousins stack here. So I'm going to go with Madison. I assume he's going to get 20 plus touches. I'm going to guess that he's going to see a little bit more of a target market share against Atlanta, because they have allowed the most targets and catches per game against running backs in the league. That is something that OCs understand.
5 years straight now, right?
Forever.
I think it's like the 5th year in a row.
It's amazing.
So bad.
And he's filling the role of the guy who gets not the most carries inside the 5, but he is replacing the guy with the highest number of rushing touchdowns in the league. This offensive line is quite good once they get close. They feed their running back once they get close. Madison is the high volume guy with passing game upside, at home, favored, great matchup, and extra added pain possible here against your Cousins Jefferson stack.
Thank you for the extra pain. I do appreciate it. Oh man. So it's up to me here. Man. Oh, man.
See, round 3 and you're already feeling it. Round 3, this is a totally different game than anything else that anybody plays in daily fantasy.
It really is. Now I'm looking at where I want to pay up. And I think I'm gonna save myself from paying up. Let me look at something real quick. It's too tough to take him. I think I think I got to do it. I think I'm going to actually pay up here at tight end and take Mark Andrews, because there are so many tight ends I don't like on this slate.
Okay.
And there's only about 3 of these I want. And I have a couple sleeper guys for cheap later that I think I can afford it.
So you're only drafting players that wear purple uniforms, I think. I figured out your strategy.
I think that's it. Maybe. Oh man.
Mark Andrews is talk me through Mark Andrews, because I think he's a guy who we expected to run a lot more routes this year, and was somebody I was targeting a lot in best ball drafts. I was actually targeting him in your SFB, and he went right before my pick, and I ended up with Ertz. So last year he ran like 45-50% of routes per his quarterback's dropbacks. Last week he ran 80%. So there was no way that he was going to be as efficient in 2020 as he was in 2019. I think he was 26th in routes run at the tight end position last year, but he was top 2 or 3 in the position based on your whatever scoring you were using. There was no way that was going to be able to sustain, but volume can override a drop in efficiency. So right now he's like top 5 or 6 in the league in terms of routes run at the position. And we're seeing him score, 1 touchdown in week 5, 2 touchdowns in week 4, 2 touchdowns in week 1.
See, the thing I liked about him coming into the season was Hayden Hurst and his 9 end zone targets went away.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking to myself, his touchdowns are probably not going to regress off the 10 that he had last year.
Especially not with the rate will regress, but when the volume increases the levels that it's increased. So you're going with Andrews here?
I'm double guessing it now that I'm looking at some of these guys, but because there are 2 other tight ends I like okay enough. Lions.
Talk me through it.
You know what? I think I'm actually going to switch it to James Robinson against Detroit, who's been absolutely dreadful against
Mhm.
tight end or against running backs.
They have been.
Recently, tons of receptions, which James Robinson can do. I think Robinson doesn't have a game under 15 touches at this point.
Mhm.
I think I'm going to go with Robinson here.
Okay. That's fair. We're going to bounce back to me. I'm going to finish off running back here. You know what? No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that. You can't make me. I am going to go with a wide receiver here.
Okay.
There's so many good wide receivers in this mid-range this week, right? Like 4K to 6K. I think there's a lot of really, really good wide receivers in that range. And the issue, even as high as like 6,300 with Robbie Anderson, the issue is, and this could bite me, is that a lot of them have bad matchups. So if you're somebody who does not like really bad matchups, then you're going to find yourself going up against them probably if you're playing guys in the middle of the, in the middle of the price range here. So there's one that I think is massively mispriced. And I'm going to take him now. And it's AJ Brown, who is 5,600 and is, again, somebody that I thought was going to have a massive year coming in. He missed a few weeks in the middle. Yes, they had some guys that have been out, right? Like Corey Davis was out and Humphreys was out, and they're playing with mostly practice squad guys. Jonnu is certainly a thing. I don't think AJ Brown is a guy that's going to see 3 or 4 targets in games this year. I think he's going to be a 7 to 10, maybe 7 to 11 target guy pretty much every single week. So AJ Brown for me at 5,600 in a format like this gives me a good floor for the price, is against a team that has struggled against opposing wide receivers, running backs, everything, and gives me somebody that I can run with here at 5,600 and give me a lot of value.
That's a heck of a price for him,
right?
Compared to the guys around him.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yes.
Like,
and
oh, wow.
Here's the thing: they were later releasing salaries this week, so they had released them on Sunday night, but there was a mess up with the calendar because NFL changed a lot of the calendars, right? Because of the Titans and everything else that was going on. They moved games around, they changed bye weeks, all this sort of stuff. Being as flexible as they have to be to try and make things happen, because football is better than no football, so let's just be flexible and nimble. So they postponed pricing. On the original pricing and on the Tuesday through Sunday slate, which they had with minus the 2 games that were added to the slate, Madison was 6,100. And then when the real slate came out on Tuesday morning, they bumped Madison up, but they obviously hadn't bumped up AJ Brown. So AJ Brown's still at the low price of 56. But on to you for your 4th pick.
Boy, that's such a good price on AJ Brown. I'm a little, a little upset.
He's 400 less than Jefferson.
All right.
I understand people are not as high on AJ Brown as I am, like in projections right now, with players coming back and, Davis coming back from injury and, whatever. I just think he's a high target option with massive upside. That offense just works way better with him in it than without.
Mm-hmm. Man, there's a guy I want to take here. But he's got such a great matchup, but he's been so meh lately. I'm just having trouble pulling the trigger on him.
It's hard. You lock yourself into guys.
Yeah.
It's not an easy format. And being under the gun with the camera rolling, you don't get to like sit around in your underwear and your boxers just making lineups for DFS in mom's basement. Like this is...
Wait, you're not just in your boxers?
I mean,
beloved.
There's no proof that I'm not. But this is just such a different format. Making lineups when you're on camera with somebody else, right? Like where you like you can't pick the guys that I pick. Like while you're losing players out of the player pool, it's a totally different animal. It's why I love this game type, which isn't really a game type. It's just what we use for this. So talk us through this. Where are you going? Running back, wide receiver?
Yeah, I was looking at a couple of running backs, couple of guys that are going to get, full complements of carries.
There's plenty of them.
Yeah, and I think out of them, I'm looking at that guy versus a nice matchup against Green Bay. I'm looking at of course, the Carolina matchup, but that Montgomery guy has just looked so mad, even though he's getting the targets.
I agree. I look, I like that his floor is increased based on the fact that he's had
Cohen
a lot
went out
more
and he's
targets.
getting tons of targets. Yeah.
With Tariq Cohen out, now with him getting, 6 targets a game, he had 6 in week 4 and 8 in week 5, as opposed to like the 2-3 that he was getting, last year and before that. His role has definitely changed, but like if he was getting 18 to 22 carries a week plus that, he'd be over the top, right? I'd be over the moon on David Montgomery if that was the case. But if they play from ahead, that could be the case. And Carolina's been so friendly against opposing running backs. Right.
And only one running back hasn't blown up against them. But I do think
we don't speak his name here anymore.
Oh, man. I do think I'm going to pay a couple $100 more and grab Ronald Jones here.
Okay. Ronald Jones, 6K. Boom. We'll plug him in. Great work from him recently. Amazing usage in the passing game. 14 targets the last 2 weeks. Has easily surpassed 20 touches. They're at home. I forget if they're favored or slight underdogs in this game, but with Fournette coming back, like this is what we're going back and forth with, right? Like Fournette is going to be back, but like, how do you take the ball out of the hands of a guy who's ripping off 6 yards every time you let him touch the ball? Right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I know that Fournette came in for the kneel down last week, so he's probably going to play in this one. I just think Arians tends to, even with the Fournette game, the hot hand tends to stay in with him, and I think there's a better chance of it being Ronald Jones with the way he's played.
Look, that's kind of where I'm sitting on Jones right now. Is that, like I said, if you're being that efficient. Granted, he's dropped some balls, but it's not like Fournette's a great pass catcher. So if you're that dude who's ripping off 6 yards of carry, I don't understand why you would take the ball out of that guy's hands. But again, assuming rational coaching has sunk many a DFS lineup before, I am going to go against a team that has given up multiple pass touchdowns in the majority of their games this year, has allowed the most scores per drive, field goals or touchdowns, leading the league in that. I think it's 58% of their drives end up in a score, and that's the Jacksonville defense. So I'm going to go with Kenny Golladay at 6,200, 7 targets, 8 targets, sitting in that range. Massive touchdown upside with his usage around the red zone and in the end zone with his end zone targets. I think that Stafford's a great play this week as well. But if it came down to one or the other, it would probably be Golladay for me. It was where I would probably end up going. So that's where I'm going to go here and lock in Golladay and AJ Brown and just have this ridiculous amount of targets and carries and touches and everything from the 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers that I got, and a lot of touchdown upside as well.
Yeah, I love that. I love that there.
All right, back to you. You got 2 wide receivers, a tight end. You have a flex spot. Obviously, we both have a defense, usually the last choice off the board.
All right, let's see here. All right, indecency.
Talk us through it. Where are you looking, first of all?
I'm trying to look. I'm looking at wide receivers at that sub 5,000 level.
Fair.
There's a couple bad matchups, and then there's a couple some injury concern.
Injury concern means Deontay Johnson.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what it means.
Trust me, he's burned me twice in cash games so far this year.
He's the kind of guy that if he goes and if he's a full go, that price feels
way too low. way too low.
So that it's him and a couple guys, a couple $100 lighter for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I got to do it just on the likelihood of a shootout with that Cleveland-Pittsburgh game. I do love the Pittsburgh defense, but Cleveland's offense, maybe I'm just the Stefanski guy from his time in Minnesota.
He's really good.
That offense is so much better this year. So I am going to take Deontay Johnson here.
All right. Look, you got to risk it for the biscuit.
Yeah. I've already made a few mistakes along the way. Let's try to recoup some of it.
Look, if Deontay Johnson plays, to me, Deontay Johnson is not Deontay Johnson, but Chase Claypool is an if-then statement that completely depends on Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
Right. So if Deontay Johnson is in, I am less interested in somebody like Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool, with his massive game last week, is now like 12% or 15% more expensive than Deontay Johnson is, and Deontay Johnson plays directly in front of Chase Claypool in this offense. So we'll kind of see if Deontay Johnson is healthy, and like they used him on kick returns last week coming back from injury. I was shocked that they were whatever. I think he's a good wide receiver. He gets a ton of volume, especially in that offense. I was high on this offense before the season. I remain high on as long as Ben is involved, right? As long as Ben is healthy, that offense is good. That's basically the end of the story. I am going to fill my flex here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go running back. There's a couple of guys that I still think are on the board. We talked about Montgomery. There's one guy that I never draft or don't draft enough, but I think that's going to be changing for me moving forward. But there's another play that I think is 800 cheaper than the player that I never draft enough of. And he's got probably the best matchup that you're going to get every week that we can predict. It's like, who's playing the Jets? Play the running back that's playing against them. We talk about 5-box running backs. The 5 boxes I'm not going to define for you, because if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're here live on Twitch, you understand what those 5 boxes are. And if you don't, that means you didn't write it down. So y'all got to look that up. It's there in a clip on Twitch. You can type !5box in the chat if you want the clip for that. But essentially, Myles Gaskin is 5,400 at home against the Jets, has not seen less than 4 targets in any one game. So we have a very reasonable floor for him based on his pass game usage. And in the 2 wins that the Miami Dolphins have had, he's averaged like 17 points per game. I don't think he needs a touchdown here to get me to 3x on this salary. He can get there on volume alone. If he gets a touchdown, that's going to be the cherry on top. 5,400 opens up a lot at running back. I think he can check off all 5 boxes here. Home, favored, 20 carries, involvement in the pass game, and he's going to get the carries inside the 5. So Myles Gaskin at 5,400, way too cheap for me to pass up here. And I still think there are other really good running back plays on the board.
Yeah, I had him highlighted. He's one I was considering with a different pick, and I was like,
he was the guy I was waiting on, and it's like, oh, if he takes him, I can go another route.
Yeah.
But well, like he was who I was waiting on.
Yeah. So it is what it is. I like that this is do your listeners know about me and DFS?
I don't think so. Tell them.
Yeah, well, I can't play DFS.
Yep.
So I legally can't play DFS. So I never play DFS.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little worried coming into this, but this is a lot of fun. It is DFS, but it's an interesting format. That's kind of I
don't know if
this.
it's possible to work this in for the sites. Like we can have this conversation on the stream after, but like I don't think that people have said I wish DraftKings would put this in the lobby, but like I don't see them putting this in the lobby because it's not scalable. But that's now it's a business discussion, and whatever.
Jackal 23 location is fine. I'm a full-time employee in the industry, so
he works for a fantasy site that has contests, so he can't play against the public. So Correct. This is a free game that I set up where it's for $0, and we're just kind of making head-to-head lineups against one another.
Yes,
so like he can't enter GPPs, he can't play head-to-heads or anything like that because he works at a fantasy site.
That's I'm up now. Let's see.
It is
here.
your turn.
Let's go back to my
You have a
spot.
wide receiver, you have a tight end, you have a flex that you can do whatever you want, and you have a defense.
Yeah, I was debating if the Melvin Gordon news from this morning was enough to push Lindsey into a lineup here.
At you know what? At 4,300, if he's out, if MG3 is out this weekend at 4,300, it's going to be tough to pass up, even with the difficult matchup. Like, he should be able to get there on volume, but there's like, if he misses, it'll be by like having like 8 points. You know?
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like even if he doesn't miss, Lindsey is still a 10 to 12 touch guy.
I've been waiting on him. I have so much Lindsey in season long. I've been sitting here just flames on the side of my face with him out for the first month of the season.
Man, there are guys in this that just look gross to me now. as I watch this salary tick down, I'm like, ooh boy.
Yeah, you got to find a little bit of value in there.
Yeah,
you don't have anybody that's really above the average price, so like, and your defense is going to be sub 4K. No, so like, you have more remaining per player than it looks like.
I'd be fine for some of those under 3,000 defenses even. So oh boy, I hate doing this because I already took the running back from that team, so I'm not. Let's see here.
So that means you're looking at a wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm flipping back over to the wide receivers here. Still looking in that lower range that
there's a lot of value at wide receiver that's getting targets. Like, if you focus this season at 4K to 6K on DraftKings, instead of going stars and scrubs, you've probably been extremely successful on DraftKings, because there's been a ton of guys in that range getting 7 to 10 targets a week every single week. Like, that's been like, looking back, as I've been looking back, like, my mistakes the last few weeks have been going uber value and trying to squeeze in one more expensive guy instead of just going like 2 guys between 4 and 5K.
Yeah. There are 2 guys, there are 3 guys really I really like here in this range, but I think I'm going to go with okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with T. Higgins. He's just gained 7 to 8 targets a game. He's got a Colts defense that's allowed 6 or 7 touchdowns on the year, a bunch of 80-yard, 100-yard games, a couple of those. It's just he's gained so much work right now, and that price feels good. 4,700.
I was just going to take him. He was my next pick. As you said, they've got a really great shutdown corner. Roads have been closed, but like the other corners, not as great. Higgins probably won't catch him. So
it's weird. After watching Rhodes last year, I'm shocked at how decent he's been this year.
So much of it is obviously it's talent, but it's also scheme, right?
Yeah.
So maybe he's just in a better situation this year. Maybe he was feeling a little bit hurt. Maybe he was sad. I don't know. But he's clearly back to the top echelon once again, where he was kind of missing out last year. There's a few things that I can do here. I have 46.50 remaining, but I have a defense. I also have a tight end that I can get cheap. I have 18.6 remaining. I think I kind of want to go tight end. There's a couple of value guys that I think are interesting. I think most of the value sits here in the middle. You know, a guy like Hawkinson, I've already got Galladay, so I'm probably not going to take him. I think he's great for tournaments this week. Tanyan's ridiculously expensive for what he brings to the table, especially with Adams coming back. But I think there's a value guy down here at 3,100 or a value play at 4K, 4,100. And so I'm trying to determine whether or not I need the 1,000 salary if I can afford to come up for Ebron against Cleveland. Or if I can stomach Trey Burton, who, look, they've got 3 tight ends.
But he's running the most routes.
Yeah, he's running the most routes. He's playing the most snaps, but like it's a three-headed monster. It's like picking a running back on New England, except at tight end. But he's 3K, and I really only need like 5 catches for 40 yards to be okay with this pick. And if he falls into the end zone, then great, right? Like it's just a bonus at that point. And the extra added bonus here, he's got a quarterback who can't throw it more than 20 yards, and he's focusing on everything between the hash marks. So like if he's on the field, they love him in Indy. I'm gonna go with Burton here, and leave. Like I'm high on Ebron. My chat knows that like I really like Eric Ebron this season. I'm just high on the Steelers offense as a whole. So I'm gonna go with the little softer matchup here against Cincinnati. Team wise, Indy I think should get off the schneid and start scoring some points. Hopefully Rivers can not suck. And we can move forward with Burton being the number 1 guy if he's healthy in Indy at tight end.
Yeah, I like it. It's crazy to me looking at this with Mo Alley Cox at 4,000. Just the amount of snaps he's playing,
he was super sus when he was scoring touchdowns. Like I was warning my chat about this I was like, guys, he's running like 12 routes a game. Yeah,
the game that he scored against the Vikings, he ran 7 routes.
Yeah.
Total.
Super sus. He was like, don't buy this. Like, don't buy the volume here. It's like, yeah, but he had 14 points. Yeah, but like that's not sustainable.
Oh, man. The chat's mentioning Irv Smith, man. That matchup against Atlanta is amazing. But
and he's min salary. We talked about him yesterday too. Talk me through. I mean, if you need salary, I think he's the way to go. Like not you particularly, but like I try to use this show to like as extra analysis, right? It's another analysis video on the week of where people can go. So like if you're talking about Irv Smith, you know that like part of the bell curve for Irv Smith is 0 catches on 1 target. You know that is a possibility when you draft him, but like he's 2,500 and like what if he has like 4 catches for 38 yards? Are you mad? No. Right?
No, and
it's got a very nice smile.
It's the best matchup on the slate, really. And the thing that really troubles me is Rudolph gets all the red zone targets. Like he is the red zone guy, so you're unlikely to get a touchdown. And then the other thing is Ian Thomas. I think he had 1 target last week, something like that, in a similarly great matchup. Atlanta's been destroyed by tight ends, for the first 4 weeks of the season.
They've been destroyed by everything.
Just last week, nope, Ian Thomas didn't get the work done. So I just brought it up because I saw in the chat.
No, he's good. Man, he's on the board this week. I don't know if I'm going to play him in cash games, but like I think he's definitely viable in tournaments, but like you just need to know the risk.
Yeah. Oh man.
So you got a tight end, a flex, and a DST. Talk us through it.
Yep. I'm right now. I've started to drift back to looking at these tight ends, even though you've already got yours, and I don't have to worry about you sniping a tight end. My thought as I look at them is, I somehow do have enough money to pay up a little bit, and I was already thinking of it earlier that I just feel like Mark Andrews against those Eagles is just such a smash spot that I want to do it, and I love Mark Andrews.
Can you afford it? Have you worked out the rest? Like, can you find the value to make it work out? Like, you can't go over the salary cap, so can you make it work?
I know. I think I can. I think I grab him, then a $3,000 DST, about 3,000 to 4,000. Then I got about mid 5,000s left. So I think I'm going to pay up and go for Mark Andrews here.
All right. I don't think that's a terrible decision. Let's get this share back on the screen. So Mark Andrews, 6,500, leaving you with 4,500 for a flex, and one of them's a defense. So you clearly got enough money to make it work. Your team, look, I guarantee this is what's going to happen. And this is what's happened each of the last 3 weeks. YouTube and chat are like, oh, this guy's team is drawing dead. Guys, I'm 0 for 3 the last 3 weeks. Like, nobody's drawing dead. The amount that you think that one team is ahead, every week that I have the odds maker make odds for this, it's like, the favorite is like -3, right? So like the edge in this is so small, not because of touchdown equity, but like this is the game that we play, and you're picking guys against really, really, really soft matchups, which is a great way to play daily fantasy. Minnesota quarterbacks, Atlanta's allowed the most points against to quarterbacks and wide receivers. Philly's allowed, they look like they might be the flowchart team this year at wide receiver. So your team's dangerous. Your team is very dangerous to me.
Yeah, I like that you're being nice, but
I'm not just being nice. That's not what I'm doing.
No, I don't mind if the chat thinks I'm drawing dead or whatever. I
see those comments every week in chat and in the comments. And guys, I've lost the last 3 of these. Nobody is ever drawing dead. Please don't.
Yeah, last week on Fantasy Football Weekly, which is it's in its 26th year on the radio, which is crazy. With Paul Chargian. I told everyone to pick up and start Chase Claypool, and I thought to myself before I came on here, I'm like, why couldn't I have done this show last week?
Oh my god! I lose.
Yeah, it was in my lineup.
Claypool would have single-handedly won you that game.
Yeah.
I could do something ridiculously silly here, or I could play this close to the vest, and I don't know which is the right way, because the way that my team is constructed right now, I have enough money to get Lamar. I certainly have enough money with $15K remaining to go and get Lamar. But, or Aaron Rodgers against Tampa, or Deshaun against Tennessee, who we've said better days are coming for Deshaun, and he's had 23.9 and 29 fantasy points. I'm going to leave the suspense. I'm going to check this back to you because you have a flex. I think there's enough wide receivers that I can kind of do what I want. I'm going to take a defense here, which is usually my last pick.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to take a defense here. And I've said how much I want to go after the MESS mess. And Miami's front 7 has been much better this year than it was last year. They have been a high pressure unit. They are getting a lot of attack in the opponent's defense, or in the backfield, into the pocket. And Sam Darnold has been mistake prone, and Gase is bad, and they're cutting players that they have to pay $30 million to. And so give me the Dolphins at 2,900. The minimal correlation with Gaskin to the Dolphins defense. I just like the pressure here and the opportunity. Again, home, favored, high pressure, and the Jets that should have to throw and not have a lot of talented targets to throw to opens up a lot of opportunity for me, I think.
Yeah, playing a defense against the Jets is never a terrible
It's not a bad idea.
Oh, man.
So what have you got left?
I need a defense and a flex still for 9,000.
You want to pick both here? Is fine with me.
I could. All right.
You can do anything you want at flex.
Oh, I know.
Like, there's so many routes that you can go.
Yeah, that's the trouble here.
Too many decisions.
Yeah.
Too many possibilities.
Too many. All right. Gosh. Yeah, I'm currently looking at the wide receivers. There's only one running back I think I would.
Who is the running back that you would go with?
I was looking in the. Oh, you know what? I have more money than that. I was looking more down in the David Montgomery range, who I thought about earlier, but I have
defense
way more
changes everything, right? Like if we plug a random 3K defense in there, you can be at the 6K range. If you go all the way to the bottom of the barrel with Cincy, you've got 6,900, a very nice price to pay for a flex.
Yeah.
You have more money than people would give you credit for this flex. You can. And that's what I meant by, obviously at flex, you can pick any position. What I meant was you have enough money to basically do whatever you want.
Yep. Yep. So I'm gonna go points allowed here. Cincinnati, India again.
Andrews is the wild card here.
Yeah, it's definitely a pay up there. All right, I'm gonna go with. Oh man, Robbie Anderson leaves me 3,700 defense.
There's a lot of players left, like Kareem Hunt at 69, Evans at 69, Fuller and his upside. Who knows if Julio's ever going to get back to where he was?
That gives me basically minimum on.
Yeah. I'm just going down the list.
The problem is, will Julio play?
Yeah.
You think he's playing?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Neither of us can really afford.
I already took my will he play with Deontay Johnson. So
now look, if Deontay Johnson's out, you can swap out Deontay Johnson on Sunday. So like if you pick a player who's out, because we draft this on Wednesday, so you're not locked into a player. If you pick a player who is then out, you can swap. That happened to us both last week, and me and Ratcliffe.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I have two pivots I like there. Then
yeah, there's definitely wide receivers at the 4,900 and down range.
All right, then I'm going to, if I go all the way up.
So if you go flex here, then you can pick your defense. If you go defense here, then I have to pick before you.
Okay. Yeah, because you'll want all your options on the flex.
Yeah. I'm just looking at like the way that the rosters are made up.
Man. This really has
it puts you on your feet are held to the fire in this game, man.
It's
never easy.
All right. I think let's see, I have 3,700. Carolina against Chicago. Right now I'm looking at I'm considering guys like Robbie Anderson, who's just crushing lately. Gives me way more money than I actually need for my defense. But it's a middle of the road matchup too.
There's a lot more matchup issues in week 6 than there have been in previous weeks, right? Like a lot of guys are, oh, like this guy looks like a good matchup, and it's like, okay, but he's got a shadow corner that's going to be on him. So like I think there's a lot of like Princess Bride moments on the slate this week that weren't there in previous weeks. You know, like I clearly can't pick this player because of the matchup, but I clearly also can't avoid him because he's getting too much volume. There's a lot of those.
All right, I'm gonna go with. Oh man, they're more expensive than I thought. So I have 9,000. I want a wide receiver that range. I bet your chat is just, come on, fish, pick.
Somebody might call clock on you. There is no clock, but like somebody's gonna say, clock, floor.
I'm gonna go with Terry McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin. I love Terry McLaurin this week. Talk to me about him.
I
know he's got a bad matchup, but talk to me about him.
You'd think it's a bad matchup, and on paper it doesn't look great, but those two teams, it seems like most of the time when they get together, there's more scoring than you anticipate. Those NFC East matchups,
right?
And it just feels like he's a guy that's going to get 7 to 10 targets without much effort. He just feels safe in that price range. I mean, he's 100 more than AJ Brown, and I do like AJ Brown a lot better, but I also think McLaurin might be a little underpriced there.
I like McLaurin a lot. Do you want to pick your defense here, 3,300? Or do you need the time? And I'll do my pick or my picks.
You can do your picks.
Okay.
I think I know who I'm taking anyway. But.
Okay. So I've got 6,300 left per position. There's a lot of different things that I could do here. I could pay up a little bit at one and come down a little bit at the other. I did ponder possibly going up for Lamar, leaving me with 4,900. I said there's a lot of options there at wide receiver. I did ponder doing this. Obviously, I've got Williams down there. You took Higgins, who I was going to take. I've talked about how much I like MVS this week, especially if Adams is back. I don't think I need to go that route. You had discussed one of the guys that you were going to possibly take. I'm going to take that guy. I know it's not the best matchup, but the volume's been outstanding. And Robbie Anderson is basically the wide receiver one in fantasy football right now, with basically 10 targets heading his way every single game. I know that I have the running back from this team. I don't think that Robbie Anderson and Mike Davis are mutually exclusive, considering how much volume that they are both getting. The fact that with that volume, they can easily meet and exceed value for their salary on volume alone. So I'm going to take Robbie Anderson, leaving me with 6,300 remaining. And there's a lot of quarterbacks in this range. You took Cousins. I think Stafford's fine. Bridgewater, probably my least likely to take in this range. Fitzmagic, another great spot here against the Jets. Tannehill, with as good as he's been and a rare captain quarterback win, I'm going to go with Stafford. I know that he's probably other people aren't as high on Stafford this week as I am. I think that we're just going to stream quarterbacks against Jacksonville. I've got Galladay. It gives me the upside for both of them there. I'm going to finish off my lineup. Stafford, Davis, Madison, AJ Brown, Kenny Galladay, Robbie Anderson, Trey Burton, Myles Gaskin, paired with the Dolphins defense. I'm going to head back over to you for your defensive last choice. You have 3,300 or less.
Yeah, and that's right at the range I was looking to. If I hadn't taken McLaurin, I would be more interested in taking the Giants. I think against potentially Kyle Allen, that's a pretty good spot there. Yeah, I don't like the Bucs against Green Bay, but man, they get a lot of pressure, and man, do they get a lot of picks. But
they do. But Aaron Rodgers is playing like a god this year.
Yeah, he just doesn't throw them. So I am going to go against traditional convention, I think, and I am going to go with. I think I am going to go with the New York Football Giants here.
There you go. Look, either one of those defenses, Washington gets a lot of pressure, and Jones turns the ball over a lot, and the Giants can get pressure too. And it's not like Kyle Allen, who is expected to start again, doesn't turn the ball over like on an average of multiple times a week whenever he's the starter.
Just the number of times he turned it over last year too. Like he's a machine at that, and
he's very good at turning the ball over. He's very efficient at
turnovers.
You
hate to make that combo, but I still think McLaurin can get 7 to 10 targets, and the Giants defense can still have a day.
Yeah, I mean, look, defensive scoring is not tied to like. Are you pulling against yourself here? A little bit, maybe, but like not really, because sacks and turnovers don't preclude Terry McLaurin from having 20 fantasy points. Like that just doesn't, like it's not peeing into the wind. It's not what people think, how bad that it actually, like, oh, that's terrible, you can't do that. No, at wide receiver in full PPR, not that big of a deal. So guys, thank you for watching. Drop a comment down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. 100% of the ad revenue from this video is going to be donated by me at the end of the season. And every one of these head-to-head battles to No Kid Hungry. Links down below to the charities. Scott, thank you for joining today. I appreciate you being here. Best of luck to you this season and this weekend in this head-to-head matchup. And everybody else, look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.